elite. We've got two young teams hoping to come of age in a hurry. It's the Binghamton Bearcats and Ed Cooley's Providence Friars. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Hoops here in Providence. Alongside my partner, Ron Thompson, I am Eric Collins. This is a Providence team that was electric at the end of the season. They won the Big East tournament, but a lot has changed since then. Ron, what do you expect to see tonight?
It's one of those situations where tonight the Friars have the advantage in terms of size. They have to make sure that they don't fall in love with the long-range jump shot, use their size to their advantage, and even their guards, they have the advantage as well. They should look to drive and get closer to the basket. But look for Coach Dempsey and his Bearcats to try to spread the floor a little bit offensively, get the Providence bigs involved in some pick and pop action to try to pull them away from the basket.
We are moments away from tipping this one off. Before we do, let's take a look at the starting lineups for both sides. First, the visitors from Binghamton, New York, and look at how young they are. They start 3 freshmen and a couple of sophomores. We should note their best player, Jordan Reed, he's a junior. He's going to come off the bench today. Tommy Dempsey, their head coach, trying to do something a little different. Now for Providence, you'll notice no Bryce Cotton, but they still have some studs up front. LaDante Henton, Tyler Harris can score with anyone. But a big question, the backcourt. Chris Dunn, all the talent in the world, but hadn't played a whole bunch over the last couple of seasons. Is tonight the night that he gets back to his form? All right, get ready to play some basketball. John Gaffney, Jamie Lucky, and Doug Shows are our officials. And the tap is won by the Friars. Here they come. This is Chris Dunn, the sophomore from New London, Connecticut. He's a McDonald's All-American, but he's been banged up his first 2 years here in town. Dunn, backdoor cut, and the pass knocked away from Henton. Still loose on the floor, and now they'll reset. Lefty jumper from the corner, and Harris a little bit too long.
But Harris can hit that shot. That's one of those shots that are going to be there all night long. I like that shot from him, that possession, though, because it was off a ball movement.
Nick Bedre, sophomore, got extensive playing time a year ago. First shot, Joseph Jakob comes up empty. Dunn, so effortless, gets inside, forces a shot to Roser, the offensive rebound.
If you're Dempsey, that's one of those rebounds that will frustrate you. You're going to have to, when the shot goes up, you know Providence is going to crash. They have the size advantage. You got to turn and put a body on someone and keep them out of there.
18-footer, DeRoser comes up shy. Joseph Jakob, sophomore from Chester, Pennsylvania, initiates the offense. McFadden gets it back. Got a broken nose a couple of weeks ago. Has to play with that mask for a while. And an inauspicious start for both sides offensively.
The Bearcats, they're going to shoot a lot of jump shots in tonight's game. That's really how their offense is structured. Even their bigs, they like to pick, pop, step out, and take that jump shot. So they're not going to be discouraged by a few misses early. They're going to keep jacking them up.
And it's early in the season, in case you forgot. That happens to a ball getting stuck on the rim. You go to the alternate possession arrow, and it favors Binghamton. Bobby Ahern has it slapped away by Harris. And the Friars looking to take the seal off the basket. DeRoser, strong move, turns around and flips it in. Senior from Windham, New Hampshire, now his second year in the program after starting in the ACC with Wake Forest. Jakob inside, throws it up the window and in. Chance for a three-point play.
When the team pressures you, the best way to get them out of the press is attack to score. That time, Providence picked up full, and what did the Bearcats do? They attacked it to score. Nice penetration, nice shot right that time by Jakob.
Joseph Jakob, America East all-rookie team, maybe the greatest player in Division I history with the initials YY. Well, think about that.
Wow.
Old school three-point play, and Binghamton, they take a lead.
And they're starting with a little pressure of their own, a little 1-2-2 trap in the first pass. And they say teams that like to press and trap don't like to be pressed themselves. That time Providence broke with no problem.
Chris Dunn, play up to his standards. A 4-point win over Albany. Providence's first game. This is Cartwright. Nice little offense for the freshman from LA.
He's not shy at all. He's a really aggressive guard. He's going to have to play some point this year as well, but he can put him up with the best of them.
Dunn poked that away from behind. In transition, Henton will go to the free throw line. All right, this is going to be critical right here for Providence. Last year, they were elite, second in the country in terms of free throw percentage of 78%. Not so much against Albany. They were a 50% free throwing team in that game. There's Tommy Dempsey, his third year with Binghamton. Had spent the previous part of his Division I head coaching tenure with Ryder.
And speaking to Coach Cooley today before the game, I mean, he was really frustrated at the fact that they didn't nail those free throws their last game. Only 50% the last game. As you touched on, one of the better free throw shooting teams nationally last year. And the first game, they just didn't fall.
Kyron Cartwright has left the game. First sub off the bench for Providence. Jalen Lindsay, a freshman from Tennessee. And Dunn going to be called for riding Joseph Jakob. First foul on Chris Dunn.
If you follow Friar basketball, in years past, they haven't had a lot of depth. Right now, they go about 9-10 deep, and you're going to see a lot of the freshmen rotate in early. Coach Cooley's going to try to get them some experience and get them to relax, because when they get into the bulk of their season, he wants these freshmen to be seasoned.
Freshman Romello Walker and the sophomore Joseph Jakob.
Notice how the Bearcats have spread the floor. It's a 4-out, 1-in look, and they go into a little pick and roll action. You have to be careful because they'll throw it to the bigs for that jump shot.
There's another steal for Dunn. Throws it ahead to Harris. And Harris knocked to the ground. He'll shoot a couple of free throws.
Good reaction time that time by Providence. They got a finger on the ball, but once they tipped it, they're off to the races. All the first 3 steps are the key in transition. Once you get that steal, when you blow out, if you can take your first 3 steps as strong as you can, you're going to have numbers on the other end as Providence had.
Ed Cooley having great success getting transfers from the ACC. Mentioned that DeRosa, transfer from Wake Forest. Tyler Harris began his college career at NC State.
I like this young man's game. With this 6'7", 6'8" frame, he's a matchup problem because he can play a little bit of that stretch 4 in certain situations and become a matchup problem for the bigs on other teams. And when he has that jumper flowing, he's a tough guard.
And a whistle, we're going to have a substitution. Jordan Reed, who is the leading returning scorer and rebounder for Binghamton. He will come in at the 16:39 mark.
Got a little blood action going on over there. They sub him out to kind of get that war wound attended to, and he'll be back in a second.
Another substitution for Providence. Ben Bentel into the game. 6'8" post player. Looks the part. 6'8", 230. He is Big East ready, at least in terms of body.
Trust me, he doesn't just look the part, he plays the part. Plays really, really hard.
Madre got inside past Bentel. Lost it. Last touch by Binghamton. It's now 4 turnovers on the Bearcats.
And that's to be expected. You know, the Bearcats, they're a very, very young ball club. 12 underclassmen on this roster. That's incredible. So if you're a coach, you're going to have a lot of gray hair or go bald, one or the other. Because the underclassmen will look good one day and then turn it over the next.
Quick trigger. That's Lindsay off the mark, and Bentel the offensive rebound. Bentel got another chance. Oh, man, bodies just fly when he's in there. Offensive foul on the freshman.
But if you're Coach Cooley, you don't mind that because that was energy and effort. He took the first rebound out of the Bearcats' hand. Touch wasn't that good on the shot, but he stayed after it. Those are sins of commission. You want to have a guy going hard as opposed to a guy trying to rev him up to get him involved in the action.
I look at Ben Bentel, and it just reminds me of all the great power forwards that Providence has had over the years. Something they've done well. Ahern. Jakob sizes up Dunn. Here's Reed, his first touch, gives it off to Madre. And Harris, the loose ball, 3-on-3. Couple more free throws for Tyler Harris. He's been a regular at that free throw line early in the season. First chance for everyone to catch our breath. 15:27 remaining here in our first half. Game faces are on. Let's do this. Providence, Rhode Island. So far so good for the locals. It is a 8-3 lead for the Friars over the Bearcats of Binghamton. With Ron Thompson, I'm Eric Collins. A couple of free throws for the left-handed Tyler Harris. Your thoughts on the energy level and the precision so far for Providence?
It's been good, but that's how they want to play. They want to use their defense to generate offense. Ed Cooley, if he doesn't have to run one set offensive play the whole game, he'll take that. And they've used their defense. They use their half-court defense as well. Their length has really given Binghamton problems, at least thus far in the game.
Couple of free throws for Harris. He's now got 4 points. He'll leave the game. Junior Lamamba will replace him. Lamamba sitting out a year ago after transferring from Cleveland State out of the Horizon League.
When you see Providence press and when you see Binghamton press, it's a little different. Providence is pressing to get the ball. Binghamton is pressing just to slow Providence up, as you see Providence forced to turn over in the corner.
Hinton picks up the loose ball. Here's Lamamba. That's why he's on the team force. Supposed to be an elite outside shooter.
He's got to warm up just a little bit. he hasn't even worked up a lather yet, but he'll let it go.
Here's Marlon Beck into the game for the first time. Beck, a sophomore from Bowie, Maryland. And what do we have? And Cooley thought that should have been a carrying of the basketball, but instead it's a foul on the Friars.
Take a look at the energy and the effort on the interior. That time Lamamba grabbed him around the arm a little bit. The official let it go. The second one, he caught him. But that energy and activity is what you want. The Providence Friars, they have a deep ball club. So fouls is not an issue. Just go as hard as you possibly can and then ask for a sub. And that time, Providence was a little bit too aggressive on the defensive end.
Seems odd for you to say that. Providence has got a deep ball club. Last year, it was basically 6 guys, and that was it.
And from a coaching standpoint, it takes you a little while to figure out your rotations. A lot of times people think this time of year that it's just the players that have to get situated. A coach is trying to get his timing down, his substitutions patterns down as well.
Bryce Cotton last year played an average of 39.5 minutes per game.
No subs for him. Now imagine a guy like Ed Cooley who likes to press, he likes to get after it. You can only play pressure defense, but for so long when you're logging those kind of minutes.
Dunn got inside, can't finish. Betzel another offensive rebound. And Lindsay will go to the strike.
We touched on in the open the size differential between these two ball clubs, and you're seeing it take effect on the offensive boards. When the shot goes up to Bearcats, they have to turn and be aggressive. Sometimes you can't box out the old traditional way like they teach you in camp. You got to turn and push a guy out of the way, and they've got to figure that out because Providence is getting too many second chance attempts so far in this first half.
Tommy Dempsey looking for something to stem the tide. Providence just going straight to the rack and getting rewarded. DeRoser back into the game. Jalen Lindsay, the freshman from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, splits the 2 free throws. Dusan Perovic, freshman from Montenegro, now in for Binghamton. He wears number 41. And the ball saved to Providence. Done! Oh, my! Get used to it, Providence fans. This kid's healthy finally. And what a ball of athletic ability is Chris Dunn.
Again, the reaction time from when you get the steal to the offensive end is incredible. Right here, loose ball, and then Providence runs the passing lane. But once they get their hands on the ball, their reaction to go score is really, really quick, and that's what's getting them these easy baskets.
That may be an important basket for Chris Dunn. He had just 2 points in 32 minutes in the first game against Albany and was frustrated. He's going to go to the bench now, but He was frustrated. Ed Cooley knows that he can get so much more out of him.
Well, what happens is he's had so many injuries his first 2 years. He hasn't had a chance to just relax and just play. In that first game, you're finally healthy. You're trying to get it all back in one game. And he's just got to relax and let things come to him because he's just an elite. When I say elite, I mean an elite athlete that can do a lot of things on the floor.
He's replaced by Kyron Cartwright. Cartwright started the game, played the first 3 minutes. He's been on the bench since. Willie Rodriguez on the wing. Freshman from Orlando, Florida. And a jump shot from the corner missed by Beck. Lindsay, high arcing jump. Binghamton's been stuck on 3 for a while. Rodriguez contested shot. Last touched by Harris. Shot clock does not refresh. Chris Dunn. That was a real quick blow for him. Back into the game. That was a Bryce Cotton type of rest. About 25 seconds. Joseph Jakob back into the game for Binghamton. Rodriguez not bashful. Pays the price though. Called for the offensive foul as Lamamba holds his ground. First foul on Rodriguez.
If you're Ed Cooley, you have to be pleased so far with your team's defensive intensity. And I don't just mean in the full court. That time, excellent rotation over by Lamamba to slide over and take the charge. And that's team defense. That's your defensive principles that you work on every day in practice.
Ed telling us that Sunday's practice wasn't fun for anyone. DeRoser loses it out of bounds. Binghamton ball.
But you know what's interesting? As a coach, you would rather have an unpleasant practice after a win than rather have an unpleasant practice after a victory, because the things you say sometimes sink in just a little bit more because you know coach isn't just fussing at you because he's upset at the loss. They won that game, but they didn't play as well as he wanted to.
Good feed. Cartwright finds Dunn. That's now 4 points for Dunn. And the lead swells to 12. Binghamton out of America East, same conference that Albany plays in. Albany came within 4 of Providence on Saturday.
If you're the Bearcats, you can't get frustrated right now. You just have to stick to your game plan. They like to spread the floor offensively, go 4 out, 1 in. Keep executing your sets and keep taking solid shots. Sometimes the score starts to force guys that normally wouldn't shoot the ball to take shots. They can't do that. Their main shooters, their main scorers have to still stay aggressive.
Blocked from behind beautifully by Harris. DeRoser even got a hand on it. I see this is Harris who got it.
Nice little freeze right there by Jakob. Drives hard to the basket.
They both got it.
And they both got a piece of that shot. And again, that's the size, that's the length. When the Bearcats get to conference play, they won't see that type of length. Jakob will be able to get that shot up to the board.
If you're the official scorer, do you give the block to both guys, or is it just one?
You close your eyes and take a pin.
Here comes Cartwright on the run out. He's got some speed, and he finishes. Oh, that was a tough finish. I think he should have went with the right hand, but he went with the left.
But see, that's just effort, I think, on the part of the Bearcats. You have to sprint back on defense, and that's one of the things that Dempsey is all over those guys about right now.
17-3 lead for Providence a moment ago. Kyron Cartwright, the lefty from Compton.
When you turn the ball over, you've got to get back. Everyone has to find a way to get back in the picture. You can't give up an uncontested layup, and that's why Tommy Dempsey called that timeout, because he doesn't think you don't compound one mistake by making another. If you turn it over, we've got to get back and stop the ball.
Now, this is normally a situation where the Friars excel. You just saw on the bottom of your screen, 36 consecutive non-conference home games have been won by Providence. That's their longest streak since joining the Big East back in the late 70s.
You're going to see a style of play, Eric, this year more liking to what Ed Cooley has wanted to do. You know, he's a guy that is an aggressive defensive kind of a coach. He likes to extend the floor, and he finally has the depth to do that. You know, that's the frustrating thing as a coach, when you have an idea how you want to play, but you just don't have the personnel. Now they have the personnel.
Pascal Chukwu has checked in for the first time. Freshman from Nigeria. He's the on-ball defender right now, and it's a big wall to go against. Jumper missed by Waller. Harris, just free reign to go wherever he wants to. Binghamton ball. And we've got a timeout on the floor. When we come back, the Friars will try and keep on rolling along. Rob, thank you so much. Winthrop taking down Clemson. Uh-oh. I love it. College hoops is here. You never know. Let's talk about the defense so far for Providence.
Well, when you press, there are two kinds of presses. There's hard and soft. And the soft press, you just use it to slow it down. But Providence, they come at you hard. They're trying to get the ball. And then once they get the steal, their reaction to go score is flawless. They are attacking that rim at the other end. And that's where you're starting to see a little bit of Ed Cooley's depth and the athleticism that exists on this Friar ball club.
They're not letting up. Providence, full court pressure here. And Bearcats in trouble. They're going to have to hurry. And they finally get it across with about a second to spare. Only 3 points scored for the Bearcats by Joseph Yakub in the three-point play. Maybe that'll break the seal. Nick Bedre off the window.
I think he called glass.
He did. We're giving him the benefit of the doubt early in the year. Dunn, a pull-up in the lane. It was contested well. And we've got a tie-up, alternate possession here. We'll keep it with the Friars. Last year, Providence 23-12, 10-8 in Big East play. Of course, they won the Big East tournament. They took down Creighton, Doug McDermott's bunch. And then a real difficult loss against North Carolina in the NCAA tournament. A 2-point win for the Tar Heels, ending the Friars season.
You know, when you started the season, the Friars would pick middle of the pack, and you know, they find their rhythm, they find their kinks. They go up over the top.
To the big man, Pascal Chukwu. That's the first 2 collegiate points for Chukwu, and he'll remember that for a while.
Yes,
it's a two-handed chin-up.
But an example of why you have to play the games, as I was saying, the Friars, they were picked middle of the pack. You know, but all of a sudden they hit their stride, they hit a little bit of rhythm, and they go on and win the Big East title.
Justin McFadden tries to find a Hearn, and the ball stolen away again by Dunn. He's going to be a real force defensively this year, now that he's healthy. Hope everyone's okay. Body's flying.
Set play right here, working around the perimeter, nice little back screen along the baseline, and Chukwu goes way up over top over everyone. Nice dime that time by Dunn.
Jalen Lindsay will trigger the inbounds. Haven't seen much out of LaDontae Hinton. Hasn't been needed. He's been bashful so far today. Offensive rebound, Chukwu. And we have an issue with the shot clock.
Started a little late. The officials get it correct. I like that. I like when the officials have the ability to get it right. You know, you're looking right now and you figure, you know, what effect does it have on the game? Well, we don't know how this game is going to end up. And in the second half, those few seconds, if you're a coach, either way, you want that time back on the clock.
Junior Lamamba back in the game for Providence. Number 32, the sophomore from Montreal. Dunn's pull up a little bit shy. Another tie-up, this time the possession arrow favors Binghamton. Binghamton's only game so far this year was also on the road. It was in South Bend, Indiana. They took on Mike Bray's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They got beaten around a little bit. 82-39 the final score. That game was played on Friday. Binghamton, they shot just 26%. So this very young team having a hard time in difficult venues to begin the season. And a timeout called by Binghamton. They have trouble on the inbound.
Again, that's Providence's length and athleticism. They can cover an awful lot of ground.
Binghamton out of America East, they're picked to finish 5th, which is not bad. There's 9 teams in America East. You have to factor in the fact that the Bearcats last year, just 7-23 overall, just 4-12 in America East. So this is a rebuilding program. I mentioned the fact that they have just 3 upperclassmen, only 1 senior, and he is a walk-on. So still some work to do for Tommy Dempsey. Well, Wednesday on The Ultimate Fighter, the quarterfinals begin as 2 fighters enter the octagon looking to earn their first spot in the semifinals and keep their dream of a championship alive. Don't miss an all-new hard-hitting episode of The Ultimate Fighter Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Just handed a note. Providence is only shooting 30%. I thought that number's a bit higher. Binghamton 2 for 11. That's 18%. Now the Bearcats starting to feel it. Back-to-back buckets by Nick Madre.
Good possession that time. They attacked their press to score, and they handled it in the front court, which gave them that wide-open jump shot on the other end.
We got a foul called on Bobby Ahern.
The hard push off the press and lining up around that three-point arc. Don't be surprised at the length and the size of Madre. He can knock that shot down.
Friars swap out bigs. Chukwu goes to the bench. DeRozier back in.
Binghamton goes to a 2-3 matchup zone just to give the Providence Friars a little different look and see how they handle it.
Dunn, Lindsay, Lamamba, Henton, and DeRozier, the 5 on the floor for the Friars. Henton a touch inside. So crafty.
I don't know how he found his way to the rim that time. His body was behind the backboard that time, but that lefty, he found a way to get it up there.
Henton now with 1,415 collegiate points. He's got 2,000 college points in the crosshairs this year. Jakob. Madre. Might as well let him shoot. He's made his last pair. Kenton. Nobody stopped the ball. And a tap up and in. Lamamba gets it to fall. And an offensive foul called on Jakob. Good shuffling of the feet by Lamamba.
Lamamba did an excellent job at selling that call. He was running backwards. He stumbled a little bit and acted a little bit more and got the call. But you have to love the energy and the effort of the Providence Friars. Each and every possession, whether it's half court or full, they're bringing an awful lot of energy.
And they're taking care of the basketball. They have committed just 1 turnover in the first 12 minutes, as opposed to Binghamton. They're already in double figures.
You know, Binghamton, they have a lot of new young faces, but so do the Friars. And to only have 1 turnover with a lot of the faces that they've had so far playing this game is huge.
We've got a timeout on the floor. LaDonde Henton for 4 years for Ed Cooley. He's been doing things like this. Not the biggest guy, but maybe the craftiest. 7:58 remaining here in our first half. The Providence Friars on top of the Binghamton Bearcats by a score of 23-8. Ed Cooley last year, they reached the pinnacle in the conference of the Big East tournament champions. They took down Creighton in the final game and finished with a 23-12 mark overall. But they didn't go as far as they would have liked in the Big Dance. They lost against North Carolina by a pair. One of the things they did really well was shoot free throws at a 78% clip. And they say make your free throws, you can win games, and you can also win tournaments. And veiled the banner on Saturday during the game against Albany. And it will be there forever. Another bucket inside by Lamamba. Outside shooters made a couple of baskets inside. He's now got 4.
That possession, that was solid defense by the Bearcats, which is better offense that time by the Friars. Lamamba going over the top. One heck of an athletic move.
Backdoor cut, beautiful find. Jakob finds the cutting Romello Waller. First two for Waller. Freshman from Fort Lauderdale. And a steal. Kayla's dribbling up high by Dunn. And back-to-back buckets for Walker.
Dunn getting a little relaxed there at the top of the key. Lost track of it. And those are the kind of uncaused turnovers as a coach, just really, really frustrating.
Tyler Harris has checked into the scorer's table. I wonder who he's going to replace, as there is a foul called on Dunn. Back-to-back turnovers on Dunn.
And that was an example, again, we're seeing a little bit of Dunn's rust, him forcing the issue just a little bit too much. Right here, you see him, he's going to attack hard and get into the creases, and it just lost the ball right there. And he just has to relax. The last year and a half, he's had a plethora of injuries. And Coach Cooley told us before the game today that he's going to let him go just a little bit. He said he has superb athleticism, and he just has to get him to the point that he's comfortable being out there on the floor.
Well, after back-to-back turnovers, he's going to sit for a while.
And think about it.
Yep. Bearcats have started to figure it out a little bit. Perovich may have been touched on the way up by Harris. Harris left alone. Is begging him to shoot that shot. A little bit too strong. Last year, Harris is 32% from behind the arc. Jakob slices inside. And all of a sudden, this is a different Binghamton team.
Well, what happens, you get a bad shot on one end. That shot by Harris, you can get that anytime. That was off of one pass. Get some ball movement, take advantage of your size, and then because of the quick pass and the quick miss, they get a quick shot, floor spread, and they get a layup at the other end. You know, we said in the open that Providence has the size advantage. They have to use that size advantage, not just with the post guys, with the guards. You do some slashing, do some driving, get to the basket. A one pass, take a three, they can get that shot whenever they want. That's why you see Ed Cooley going ballistic in that huddle.
Well, after the game, stick around for Fox Sports Live as they have you covered with highlights from a full day in college basketball, plus the latest from the NBA, NFL, and NHL. Fox Sports Live coming up after the game on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tommy Dempsey's bunch getting more comfortable. Well, 1 for 10 out of the gate, but 5 for 7 since.
It takes a little bit of time when a team presses the entire game, which Providence is doing. It takes a little bit out of your legs and your rhythm and your timing and your half-court offense. But Binghamton is slowly starting to figure things out, and Providence's shot selection hasn't helped them either.
Kenton! DeRoser, one-handed rebound, poked away from behind nicely by Madre. And a foul in transition on Jalen Lindsey. Just trying to slow down this onslaught. 6 straight points in this game scored by the Bearcats. Both teams are now in the bonus, so we'll have free throws every time we have a foul call for the rest of this first half. Ted Bancroft is going to check in for the first time here in 2014. Got a little shiner there. I'm told that doesn't affect him.
Not at all. He's one of those tough guys. Played a lot for him last year out of necessity. This season, his minutes will be cut just a little bit, but Coach Cooley frustrated a little bit with some of these young guys. They're not following his lead, and he put a veteran in there to kind of show him how to get it done.
Bancroft getting into 30 games a season ago. Nice touch there. Willie Rodriguez. Fryer lead has been cut down to single digits. Senior Henton.
Providence going with a little flex action here on offense. Cuts along the baseline. Look for the bigs to try to duck in hard.
Good give and go. DeRoser off the window.
Excellent finish that time on the pick and roll out of the flex action. And DeRoser got hit twice and still was able to finish.
4 points now for DeRoser. Same amount of points he had in 22 minutes against Albany back on Saturday. Closing into the 5-minute mark of our first half. Madre. Long two-pointer.
When you play against the Binghamton,
and a turnover in the backcourt. Wow! Romello Walker showing off.
Binghamton giving Providence a little taste of their own medicine with a press.
Showed some wingspan there.
He certainly did. When you play against Binghamton, you can't get sucked in by the drive. They're not driving to shoot layups. They're driving to get the defense to collapse. And once Providence does it, they're throwing it out to the shooters.
Tommy Dempsey really had to clean house. That's the reason why there's so few upperclassmen. Just one senior, and he's a walk-on. But the players he's bringing in, he likes. These are his guys. They're going to play his system. And they've got a little bit of talent here. You're starting to see it.
You know, it takes some time, you know, when you get a job as a new coach, and I've been there before, to get your own guys in the system. And then not only you have to get your players accustomed to your way and your culture, the entire university, the entire athletic department. It takes a while to get all of them to see your vision.
Then Bentel back in the game for Providence. Dunn also checks in. It's a big lineup. Chukwu can't handle the pass. That's a tough pass to handle if you're 7 feet 2 inches tall.
Exactly. You want that ball to come up and come down. It's really hard to catch a rocket on the move.
This is a 12-2 run in the last 2.5 minutes for the Bearcats. Marlon Beck sets the offense. Good soft touch by Perovic. And the locals here starting to get a bit nervous. It's just a 5-point lead for the Friars.
You're starting to see Binghamton's confidence grow with each and every offensive possession. They figured out Providence's press. They're getting the ball into the half-court sets, and they're executing.
Done. That's a long two-pointer. If the jump shot becomes airtight for him, he'll be unstoppable. Half dozen points for Dunn. Three and a half minutes to play in our first half. Rodriguez working on the big man. And Chukwu called for the foul. We've had a little change in momentum. Binghamton coming alive. They trail Providence 29-22. Nice little comeback here for Binghamton. They have drawn within 7 of Providence. 29-22 is our score. 3:20 remaining in our first half.
Binghamton's using their penetration to get shots on the perimeter. It's how they want to play. You see, off of the penetration, they draw in 4 Providence defenders. DeRozan, number 33 right there. He's guarding Madre out here behind the arc. You can't get sucked in because that is how the Bearcats' bread is buttered. Off of penetration, they get you to suck in. And even their bigs, as we just saw by Madre, can nail threes.
Missed opportunity, Willie Rodriguez. This is the front end of a 1-and-1. Cartwright, Harris, Henton, Chukwu, and Bentel, the 5 on the floor for the Friars. Henton. Oh, man. Every time he makes a basket, hangs in the air, contested. Down on the block, face-up jumper missed by Madre. Benton took off without the basketball. Binghamton out of America East, taking on the champions a year ago of the Big East, winning the tournament for just their second time. Providence winning it in 1994, and then 20 years later. Nice pick and roll again. Cartwright working into Chukwu. Freshman showing a little bit of ability to work together.
That was a great read by Cartwright. He took a look over his shoulder before he threw the pass to make sure that Chukwu was rolling to the basket. Nice soft pass over the top.
Madre is starting to fill it up.
But you know what?
That one a three-pointer.
He's getting it off of penetration. The Binghamton Bearcats are finding a way to get to the creases. Providence has to do a much better job of keeping these guards and these forwards out of the paint, because once they get hard penetration, they're just lining up for target practice outside that three-point arc.
Madre is the first man on either side to get into double figures. Long jumper missed by Bentel. Not sure if that's going to be his game during his freshman season. We should mention that Binghamton has played the majority of this first half without the guy coming into the season who was their best player, Jordan Reed, second team America East a year ago. He's played maybe 3 minutes. Pretty move. Rodriguez finishes with the finger roll.
And you know what happens because Providence has done a poor job at guarding the three-point arc. They stayed out that time, which now opened up the lane that time off penetration, and they got all the way to the basket. A little cat and mouse, a little chess match going on here between coaches.
No matter what happens in the last 50 seconds, Binghamton's going to go to that locker room with some confidence. Oh my, Hinton, miscommunication with Benton.
The first 3 quarters of the first half, Providence did an awesome job at taking care of the basketball. They weren't turning it over. They were getting ball movement. They were getting out in transition. Now, the last 5 minutes or so of this first half, they've gotten a little careless with their half-court execution.
1 turnover in the first 12 minutes for the Friars. 7 turnovers in the last 7 minutes for Providence. Blocked away by Bentel. Shot clock does not reset. Difference game clock and shot clock is about 10 seconds.
Look for a high ball screen right here and look for a pick and pop situation with the Bearcats.
Jakob inside, hangs, it scores!
So he gets all the way to the basket, shoots the layup as I call for a pick and pop.
7 points for Joseph Jakob. And this is a 4-point game. Harris can't stem the tide, and that's going to do it. That was a fun 20 minutes of basketball. It was all Providence for the first 12 minutes, but then the Bearcats woke up. Bearcats making this one a game. Don't go anywhere. We got a good second half coming your way. Our score at the break, 33-29 Providence. Welcome back to the Dunkin' Donuts Center. There's something about these America East teams. Providence beat Albany out of the America East by 4 on Saturday. They're on top of another America East team by 4 right now, on top of the Binghamton Bearcats, but not by much. With Ron Thompson, I'm Eric Collins. Providence had a big-time lead up by 17 at one point, but the Bearcats did back down.
It was a tale of 2 halves in the first half alone. The Providence Friars got off to this game in a huge way. They were getting stops. They were getting out in transition. And then all of a sudden, they had 7 turnovers the last 8 minutes of the first half. And then the Bearcats, they went on a roll, started executing their half-court sets. They started to get comfortable in their half-court. They started to knock down some perimeter jump shots. And then it was all uphill from there for the Providence Friars. If you're Ed Cooley, you went into that locker room totally livid because they had this game in control, and then all of a sudden they started to relax and gave the Bearcats a little bit of life. Senseless turnovers, uncaused turnovers. I think the Providence Friars young ball club, inexperienced ball club started to relax. They took a picture of the score and forgot to play the game.
Yeah, those halftime numbers, they're revealing. Providence, told you they had just 1 turnover in the first 12 minutes, but then they had 7 in the final 8. And the shooting percentages, not nearly what they wanted them to be. Binghamton actually on the road outshoots Providence on their home floor 46-41 from the field.
And you've got to credit Tommy Dempsey for keeping his guys focused because they didn't play well against Notre Dame. They come out against Providence the first half of this game, and they didn't play well either. But they stayed the course. They kept executing offensively. They understood what they wanted to do and how they wanted to attack Providence, and they stuck with that format. They wanted to get penetration. They wanted to suck the defense in and then have them chasing them on the perimeter. And that's just what happened once they started to settle in.
Same 5 on the floor to start the second half that started the game for Providence. It's a backcourt of Cartwright and Dunn. The front wall of Hinton, Harris, and DeRoser.
Look for Providence in the second half to stick with their mature guys, the guys that were here last year, to try to get them through the second half.
Hinton misses inside. And fighting for the loose ball will have a foul called on Binghamton. That's the senior, LaDante Hinton. Scrapping and fighting for that loose ball. Draws the foul. It's called on Justin McFadden. So an extra possession for the guys in white. Hinton. Offensive rebound, Harris, who's whacked on the chin.
As this second half starts, you look at the Binghamton Bearcats. Their rotations are a little bit quicker. They're bouncing on their toes. They have a little bit of life here. They've seen a kink in the Providence Friars armor, and they're trying to crack it here in the second half.
Providence has their starting 5 on the floor. Nice pass. DeRozier finds Hinton. First bucket of the second half. And Providence has their starting 5 on the floor. They have 3 left-handers in the mix. Cartwright, Harris, and Hinton. It's rare.
It really is, but I tell you what, this next generation, my son plays AAU basketball, and I'm noticing there are a lot more lefties than when we came up.
And what do we have? We're going to have a foul called on Madre, trying to stay in front of DeRozier.
Excellent ball movement right here by Providence. Multiple guys touch the ball, a little bit of penetration. High-low action is always open. DeRozier can hit that little 10-foot jump shot to say the Bearcats had to respect it. It was left hidden open on the baseline.
And a steal of the inbounds pass by Romello Walker. Doesn't have numbers at all, but he gets rewarded. Harris fouls him. Was he in that shooting?
Dempsey working the officials a little bit, picking up the technical. Officials thought he said a little bit too much in his ear, and sometimes as a coach you want that. You want your guys to know you're in the fight with them, and you know if you have to give a tech sometimes, so be it.
So we're going to come the other way and shoot the technical foul. I'm not exactly sure what Tommy Dempsey was so upset about. This guy was going to the free throw line. So Providence needing as much help as they can get. Looking for 2 freebies. Free throw issues continue for the nation's second leading free throw shooting team from a year ago. Things have changed for Ed Cooley's bunch. All right, now 2 free throws for Romello Walker.
Romello Walker to shoot 2.
Dusan Perovic, another freshman coming into the game. Madre with 3 fouls, going to sit for a little bit. What makes this all the more impressive for Binghamton is they're doing it with such young players. Virtually everyone on the roster either a freshman or a sophomore. And an unforced error, the senior Hinton throws it out of bounds.
Again, the turnover woes continue for Providence, and that's something they're going to have to work out because, you know, they're having turnovers there without a lot of pressure on the ball. And that's just lack of focus, lack of concentration. On the flip side, with Madre out of the offense now, he's sitting on the bench with 3 fouls. I'm curious to see who for the Bearcats is going to pick it up on the offensive end.
Legal screen set by Bobby Ahern from Binghamton. That is his 4th personal foul. So the freshman from Marshfield, Massachusetts, going to stay on the floor. Nope. You know what? They've just made a revision. The scores table announcing that that's foul number 5. So Ahern has fouled out with 18 minutes remaining in this game.
I tell you what, Ahern's numbers don't show it, but he's been a physical presence on the interior. He's held the Providence post guys at bay. They haven't gone nuts this game.
Hinton inside, knocked away. It'll stay with Providence. We are not quite sure in the foul situation for Bobby Ahern. Scores table announced 5, but he may have more. We'll get back to that in a moment. DeRozier gets a shot to fall inside.
Again, when you see the Bearcats play, a lot of these passes, a lot of this motion is to try and get penetration. If they don't get penetration, they want to take the three. And they're going to be consistent with that all game long.
Here comes Dunn. And Dunn is fouled on his way to the cup. So the foul's starting to accumulate. That's going to be called on Joseph Jakob. And that's 6 team fouls now for Binghamton. So another foul, and we'll see Providence in the bonus for the remainder of the game.
And now they have to start to use this free throw line as a weapon. By that I mean, in your half-court sets, if you don't have a transition layup, work the ball from side to side. Look to drive. Look to get them in foul trouble, because now you're shooting free throws on every single foul. So they don't have to shoot as quickly once they get the ball over half court.
Ron, realistically, when can we expect Chris Dunn to get into the shape and ready for this level of play that everyone wants him to be? We talked about how he's been injured for the last 2 years.
Yeah, condition-wise, he's fine. Now he just has to get his timing down, and the mental aspect of the game he has to get back. And that comes with reps, that comes with being on the court. You have to give him, I would say, at least 10 games early on just to get back into it a little bit, to hearing the coach's voice, you know, understanding that when you get a little winded, you're okay, and to get the timing down on the plays.
Shot along the baseline. A missed opportunity. Magnus Richards can't get it to fall. DeRozier, trailer on the break. Hinton knew where that was going to go.
If you're the Friars, you don't need DeRozier, a 7-footer, shooting a 15-foot jump shot. He's 5 inches taller than anybody on the Bearcats team. Get under the basket, just make layups.
DeRozier just takes it away. 5-0 in terms of blocked shots. Binghamton. Yeah, they're not going to win that fight. This is a lot bigger team, are the Friars. A couple of 7-footers. There's one of them. And an offensive foul called on Dunn. Three personal fouls now on Chris Dunn.
Dunn makes up his mind early that he's going to get all the way to the cup. Excellent job by the Bearcats sliding over with their defensive principles and taking it in the chest. That was wise on behalf of the Bearcats not to try to go for the block. Slide over, take the charge, let's go down the other end and get a chance to get a nice shot on the offensive end of the court.
So Dunn will think about it for a while. Jalen Lindsey, an impressive freshman. He replaces him. Walker, aggressive, had it knocked away. Hitting the head of the pack. And he's fouled. So we'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, LaDante Hinton will shoot a couple of free throws. Providence up by 9. Good start to the second half for the locals. Providence, and they've extended their lead. We're up by 4 at the break. They're now up by 9 with a couple of free throws coming up for LaDante Hinton. Let's take a look at the New York Life Keep Good Going stat. Last year, Providence 78% at the free throw line. They scuffled in that category against Albany. They're doing a lot better today. That is now 10 for 13.
I tell you what, that's a huge, huge luxury when you have a ball club that doesn't make going to the free throw line any adventure. It's a way to get easy points. It's a way to get back in games or extend leads.
When you have a good free throw shooting team, is there a common denominator? Do you work at it, or you just recruit good free throws?
I think it's one is to have good shooters. It's not one of those things, I think, that working on it a whole lot makes you a good shooter. Sometimes you just have to be fortunate, because sometimes you can work on it so much it becomes mental. You know, and you don't want guys thinking about it too much. You want them to get up there and just nail it.
2 fouls now on Tyler Harris. Joseph Jakob, sophomore from Chester, Pennsylvania, going to work on Cartwright. Now Rodriguez turns the corner and slips and falls. We'll have a tie-up. Possession arrow keeps it with the Bearcats.
Rodriguez, he's been struggling all game long. He's one of their freshmen that they have that a lot is expected of him, but he just has to exhale a little bit, relax, and let the game come to him.
Bearcats are playing with 4 freshmen on the floor right now and a sophomore. The sophomore's got the ball, and Jakob. But he's surrounded by 4 freshmen.
And when you have a ball club that young, mistakes are going to happen. You know, a la driving too deep into the lane. You know, you as a coach, you get excited because of the potential, because you bring in a recruiting class that has a huge upside. But also, it takes a little while for that chemistry to kick in.
2 juniors and a senior. That's it in terms of upperclassmen. The senior is a walk-on, and the 2 juniors, well, we haven't seen much of them. Jordan Reed has played just a handful of minutes. And Karan Waller hasn't played at all. Harris, quick move, bottled up. DeRosa! 8 points now for DeRosa.
DeRosa needs to take Harris to dinner for that pass right there. Harris did an excellent job at drawing the double team intentionally and then dropping it off to DeRosa for the easy dunk. And that's the example of what we're saying of experience, which the Bearcats don't have. The Providence Friars, a few of their guys have been together for a few years. That was just an experienced play by Harris.
And another blocked shot. I think DeRosa got it. He's closing in on a double-double. All eyes on Ed Cooley as he barks out the signal. Cartwright, Lindsay, Hetton, Harris, DeRosa, the 5 on the floor. And Harris grabbed from behind by Rodriguez.
Harris shows excellent patience on the interior. 2 hard dribbles to draw the double team. He knew that DeRosa's man came over, and he put it to him right where he could catch it. Excellent call by Ed Cooley to go back to Harris on the block, because they had success in the possession prior, which is why Harris is at the free throw line right now.
This is a 1-and-1. That was the 9th team foul on Binghamton. So the next foul on Binghamton, and it'll be the double bonus for the rest of the way. 2 shots on every foul. Rest of the game for Providence. Ever since we started talking about how Providence getting back to their superlative ways at the free throw line, they've missed 2 of their last 4.
Because you've jinxed them. Right? Every time you talk about it, they find a way to miss them.
Cartwright with the steal. What do you got, young man? I think he's going to be really effective in the Big East this year. Kyron Cartwright, 5'11". His brother played Division I basketball. Bryce Cartwright played for the Iowa Hawkeyes a couple years ago. And Cartwright, his pass up ahead. Hetton, great catch and finish.
Great pass, great catch. The ball didn't touch the floor. Cartwright had his head up right over the top.
That's how you do it. Cartwright, the freshman, understanding the college game. Coast to coast. And Providence on fire once again. It is a 47-30 lead for Providence. They are on a 14-1 run to begin this second half against Binghamton.
Kyron Cartwright, the freshman out of California, doing an excellent job going for the steal with the inside hand. He gets the deflection and goes coast to coast. And this is right here is maturity. A young man beyond his years. Didn't put the ball on the floor. Head was up. Knew where his teammate Hinton was. Put the ball right on the dime for the easy layup. You can see right now, once Kyron gets a little bit more comfortable out there on the floor, once he starts to thoroughly understand Ed Cooley's voice, he's going to be a special ball player.
It seems like Ed Cooley is very friendly with his guards. He likes to work with guards. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, you have to have your guards, especially your point guards, have to be the extension of you, especially when your offense is run like Ed Cooley's offense is run. So, you know, you have to have that rhythm. You have to have that cadence between player and coach. And Ed Cooley's done a great job recruiting. Goes all the way to California, getting a little Cali love, getting Cartwright to come back east.
Where's the offense going to come for Binghamton? Just a free throw so far in the first 7 minutes of this second half.
Well, you saw what happened when Dre went out with those fouls. The offense slumped a little bit for the Bearcats. Now he's back in. He draws a foul. They're in a situation now where they can start to establish some sort of rhythm on the offensive end.
And Jordan Reed checks in. Jordan Reed has not played much at all. This is a 3-year starter who's coming off the bench today. He's played a grand total of 4 minutes in today's game.
Whenever you see something like that, it makes you wonder what the young man did. Did he do something in practice? Did he show up late for a meeting? And you can't have any distractions when you're trying to grab wins, not at this level.
Jordan Reed, a year ago, second team all-conference in the America East. Cartwright sets up on the wing. Haven't seen Chris Dunn in a while.
Because Cartwright's done such a masterful job at running this offense, and Ed Cooley as a whole has substituted an awful less freely this second half than he did in the first half.
We talked about the foul issues for Binghamton. That's now 10 team fouls. So this is going to be a procession to the free throw line for the final 12:23 for Providence. 2 free throws coming up here for Tyler Harris. Harris now 6 for 7 at the free throw line. No Bryce Cotton, no Kadeem Batts. Josh Fortune, another starter a year ago, has decided to transfer. But the constants, Harris and Henton for the Friars. Inside, blocked away beautifully by Lindsay.
Nice thought by Rodriguez, but if you go ahead and put that ball on the glass, they can't touch it. You know, this is not the America East. This is the Big East. You're playing against much better athletes. Put the ball on the glass, get the 2 points or the goaltender, and let's go down the other end and play defense.
Shot clock down to 10. Inside, dumped down to Roser. May have gotten away with a little push off, and that's the first block for Binghamton. Perovich pokes it away. Reed is fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. Timeout on the floor. Jalen Lindsay, known as an offensive guy, but I'll tell you what, he can erase a couple of shots this year. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Binghamton with just 1 point here in the second half, make it 2. That's the first point for Jordan Reed, their leading scorer from a year ago at 15 points tonight. Give him a pair. With Ron Thompson, I'm Eric Collins. Second game for both Binghamton and Providence. Binghamton losing on the road against Notre Dame. Providence winning at home against Albany. Lindsay, the long jumper, that's a 2.
I like that read that time by Chris Dunn. Came off the high ball screen, under control. Knew his teammate was opposite. Excellent pass, in rhythm for the shot. And sometimes I think with Dunn, he's just got to slow down a little bit. He's so athletic and so explosive. The game hasn't started to slow down for him yet.
Rodriguez with a hand in his face. Dunn looks forward, finds Henton. Rodriguez, an awkward coast to coast, and
Rodriguez has had a tough game.
Yeah.
He's really tried. I just think the Providence's length is giving him an awful lot of trouble as Harris gets the dunk on the other end.
That's the first field goal for Harris. He had 7 points before that dunk, all at the free throw line. 7 of 8 from the stripe, but 0 for 5 from the field. That changes with the flush. Providence's largest lead in the first half was 17. Their lead is now 21 in the second half.
Harris with the hard push. He gets it back because he blew out and then pitched it ahead. The defense went with it, which left Harris wide open going down the pipe. And when you're a scorer like Harris is, it's good to see him, though. Even though he hasn't had a lot of field goals, he's had a huge effect on the game with sucking in the defense because he is a scorer. And he's been able to set his teammates up with some beautiful passes.
10 minutes to play. Second meeting all time between these two schools. Providence winning the first round. Reed contested shot. Bentel! Great find from Dunn. There was a small window and Dunn found it.
Dunn has had a really, really solid 3 minutes.
There's a big difference between running a race and leading one. When you're in charge, you get to call the shots. How cool is that? The 2015 Corolla. Toyota, let's go places.
Largest lead of the night for Providence over Binghamton.
Chris Dunn has done a really, really solid job the last 3 minutes or so. Strong rebound in traffic that time by Hinton. And then pitch ahead to Chris Dunn. Excellent read, excellent pass to the big fella in transition. And sometimes the best thing is for you to sit down and see the game from a different perspective. Karan Cartwright was in there, did a masterful job. Dunn was on the bench. He got a chance to see some of the decision-making, some of the plays that Cartwright was making. Dunn comes into the game. He has 3 quick dimes, has his offense going in the right direction.
What will Ed Cooley be most happy about in the first 10 minutes of the second half? The fact that his offense has come alive, or the fact that his defense hasn't given up a field goal in close to 11 minutes?
Both. You know, obviously the defensive end speaks for itself, but offensively, they've done a lot better job at not getting lazy, at using their offense to get their best buckets as opposed to there being one pass and then someone going one-on-one.
Dunn's always got that head up. He's running down the floor, and he finds Hinton. Hinton's not had a typical Hinton day.
He really hasn't. Dunn would have 2 or 3 more assists if some of these guys had converted some of these layups and he's missed dunks. But Dunn, again, he's a maestro. He's making the right decisions at the right times because he's slowed down the notch. He's one of those guys that likes to play in 5th gear. So far here in the second half, he's keeping it right around 2nd and 3rd gear, and he's making some wise decisions.
Now, that's foul number 5 on Bobby Ahern. I gave him credit for 5 fouls a moment before. That is now officially number 5. So the freshman from Marshfield, Massachusetts, is done for the night. Big man Bentel rattles the first one home. Bentel playing at the high school level in Wilmington, Delaware. Originally from Ghana. Confident free throw line.
Really does. I love his motor. He's physically ready to play in the Big East right now as a freshman.
Binghamton only 3 free throws here in the second half. That's been all of their scoring. Nice soft touch there by Harris to control his body and scooch it off the window.
That was a great read by Harris. Most guys would have plunged into the guy trying to get a dunk. He pulled up with a nice kiss off the window.
11 points now for Harris. Reed. mesmerized watching Dunn take the ball down the floor, always with that head up. And that's what the result is. He finds Bentel inside.
He's played a masterful job these last 7 minutes or so, solely because Eric, he slowed down a little bit. You know, before in the first half, he was looking to score every possession and looking to turn the corner. Now he's trying to set his guys up. Nice read by Harris. He could have gone in for the dunk, pulled up with a nice kiss off the glass. And then nice little duck down inside to the big fella by Dunn.
Take a look at that score by half, and those numbers are correct. The Bearcats were within 4 of the Friars at half. They've managed just 3 free throws here in the second half, while the Providence Friars have blitzed them for a whole bunch. Providence now shooting 46%, while Binghamton on an 0 for 14 scheme, they dropped to 30%.
When you go in at halftime as a coach, you say, all right, guys, it's time to turn it up. The Friars have turned it up, especially on the defensive end. But they've been efficient offensively. As you see right there, 40 points are coming in the paint. That's because they're a lot more patient as of late than they were in the first half in terms of ball movement, in terms of the type of shots that they're taking.
2 free throws for Willie Rodriguez. If you missed the end of the first half, Binghamton played really well. They were blitzed the first 12 minutes of the game, but the final 8 minutes of the first half, they flat out outplayed Providence big time. They were within 4 at halftime.
Providence so far here in the second half just has physically worn the Binghamton Bearcats down. Binghamton's starting to look a little tired. They're looking a little worn. They're looking a little weathered. And Providence, give them credit. They went in at halftime. They tightened some things up both offensively and defensively.
Dunn misses from deep. Rodriguez gets the pause on it. Binghamton, their next game will be at home against Hartwick. Providence, next up, they've got Navy. And a whistle at midcourt as Dunn is held. Joseph Jakob called for the personal foul, his third, and because we've got the double bonus, 2 free throws for Dunn. Chris Dunn got a year back, petitioned the NCAA, got a medical redshirt for a year ago, and he only was able to play 4 games. From New London, Connecticut.
And his best years are definitely ahead of him. With that size, with that length, once his timing gets down and he gets a little rhythm to the game, you're going to see one explosive ball player.
One of only 4 McDonald's All-Americans from the state of Connecticut. And the first in a long while. Remember Charles Smith, power forward out of Pitt?
Yep.
Harold Presley.
Longtime New York Knick.
Won a national championship with Raleigh Massimino's Villanova team back in 1985.
Small full forward, Mr. Do Everything kind of a guy.
And then if you remember Corny Thompson, that's doing something.
Ooh, many moons ago, Corny Thompson. Yes, I do remember Corny.
McDonald's All-Americans from, and he played at UConn.
Yep.
With Carl Hobbs.
Yeah.
4 McDonald's All-Americans from high schools in Connecticut. Walker, that's the first field goal allowed in the second half by Providence. And it goes in for Romello Walker. 9 points for the freshman Walker. And that's a turnover. Bentel throws it out of bounds. I wonder if we have seen the last of LaDante Henton and Tyler Harris. 2 high-scoring bigs are both sitting on the bench right now as Ed Cooley spreading the wealth. Dunn, the pull-up from 16. One-handed rebound by Chukwu, and he's fouled.
Good possession for Chukwu. He saw that Dunn was in trouble, came from the baseline to set a solid screen, but then didn't give up on the play. Once the shot went up, he crashed the offensive boards. That's why you're going to see him at the free throw line right now. I tell you what, Chukwu is a long drink of water. His arms are just incredibly long.
A lot of times you see a 7'2", 226-pound freshman, and they look as if you could push him over. I've been impressed with Chukwu.
No, physically, he looks, you know, he's put together pretty solidly. You can tell he's hitting the weights. I love his agility, his mobility. Early in the first half, he dove on the floor for a loose ball. Just give that young fella some time. He's going to be special.
And he hits 2 free throws.
Soft touch, yeah. He's going to be something to reckon with in the Big East.
And he looks every bit of 7'2".
I tell you, already offensively, he's ahead of where Dikembe Mutombo was as a freshman.
Wow.
Without a doubt, from an offensive standpoint. Now, I didn't say he's a better player, but offensively, he's much further ahead.
Dikembe also had the advantage of being able to practice against one of the all-time greats when he was at Georgetown.
Yes, he did. Every day, he and Alonzo Mourning went at it, and he learned a few things from a guy named John Thompson along the way, too.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. There's a number of big men that were developed down there in D.C. by John Thompson in that Georgetown program. But Ed Cooley is doing a pretty good job right now with Pascal Chukwu and Ben Bentel. I've been really impressed with both those freshman bigs.
The impressive thing about both of those guys is the energy in which they play with. Their games really aren't that polished, but that'll come with time, and they're doing the tough part. They're just getting after playing with a lot of energy and spunk.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how much trust Ed Cooley has in young players. You know, last year he had such a small rotation out of necessity. Now he's got more depth. He's got more young players. Is he going to trust them when push comes to shove?
You're so right about that, and they're going to determine that. That's not up to Coach Cooley. The players have to determine whether or not they're going to be part of the rotation and what their role is going to be, and that's the part of being a big boy. You know, you've got to come every day and practice and produce. You have to have carryover from practice to the games, and you can't play everybody. So these guys are going to have to compete. They're going to have to shore up some things, and they're going to have to show Coach that they need to consistently be a part of his rotation.
Preseason poll in the conference is that's going to be a chance for a three-point play. Dusan Perovic gets it to fall. He'll go to the free throw line. Preseason around the conference, the coaches, they think that Villanova is the pride of the conference this year. Checking at number 5 is Providence. Do you think that's fair?
Well, you know, it's so hard to predict. Last year, Providence was picked around the middle of the conference also, and they're going to win the Big East. So you got to lace them up. You have to play the games. You know, so it's one of those things that's good for us to talk about the rankings and where we're seated and where teams are seated. But the coaches know that means nothing. When you get between these 4 lines and this 94 feet, it's about what you do there.
That'll be a charge called on Dunn. He used a screen by Chukwu, but then lowered the shoulder. No, I apologize. It's an illegal screen on Chukwu. So it's not on Dunn. It's on Chukwu, his 3rd. And the shot clock didn't start. In case you're wondering, you want to go to Binghamton University? If you've gone to Binghamton, New York, you've gone to the wrong place. Binghamton University is actually in Vestal, New York.
How many times have you been to campus?
I've actually been there once.
Really?
About 20 years ago, but I've been to Binghamton before.
I've driven past it.
New York's southern tier. Not too far away from the Pennsylvania border. It's actually a really good academic school. Billy Baldwin went there. Three-pointer, good by Perovic.
When you watch how Tommy Dempsey wants to play and the offense that he has these guys running, you can envision when they hit the American East how effective they're going to be, because it's hard to chase their bigs out around that three-point line. It's a natural thing for bigs to stay close to the basket.
Dunn, he's now in double figures with 10. Yeah, Tommy Dempsey wants to think about what this team could be, he needs to look at the tape of the last 8 minutes of this first half.
And believe me, he's going to show that last 8 minutes to his guys. And he's not just playing for right now. He knows what's down the line, and he's trying to get his troops ready.
Timeout on the floor. Done. He's not done yet. Providence up 66-41. For Fox Sports Live, as they have you covered with highlights from a full day in college basketball, plus the latest from the NBA, NFL, and NHL. Fox Sports Live coming up after the game on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 3:09 remaining here. 66-41. Providence on top of Binghamton.
Take a look a little bit around the Big East. Villanova, another big win today. Picked to win the Big East. Georgetown picked to come in second. Player of the year, Devontae Smith-Rivera out of Georgetown. I tell you what, though, as coaches, you hate looking at that stuff because you know your team looks at it, you know they read it, and you just want to get all over it.
It builds interest.
And that's what happens, and it does, but that's what happens in games like this. You know, when Providence looks at Binghamton on tape, they struggled against Notre Dame. As a coach, you know potentially what a team can do. But you get young players and you try to get them to see what you see as a coach. They don't always see it. They're like, Coach, we're going to kill that team. But then you got to come out and play the game.
Good save by Bentel. 2.5 minutes to play here. Providence next up, they've got Navy. Take them on Thursday. Good catch by Chukwu, just couldn't finish at the rim. That'll come.
The thing for Chukwu, don't worry about so much the missed layup. Don't worry about the offensive end of the court. Just play hard, run, understand what coach wants done on the offensive end, and just play hard, and everything will work itself out.
Wow! Where's this ball? Dusan Perovic, he's been red hot here in the second half. 13 points now. That was a tough shot.
It really was, especially when you're shooting over someone 7'2", with the wingspan that Chukwu has.
Youngsters playing keep away. Bentel, Cartwright, Lindsay, Chukwu, all freshmen. Only upperclassman on the floor is junior Lamamba, sophomore for Providence. Perovic. Okay. So the streak's going to continue. Providence, this will be their 37th consecutive non-conference home win. They were tested. Oh, wow. Last time they didn't make a three-pointer was 14 years ago, and that's in jeopardy right now, big time.
I tell you what, if you're Ed Cooley, you could care less about that. You want the win. They got some things corrected in the second half. They'll hit threes when the season hits. They won in a commanding fashion. That's what's most important.
Under a minute left to play. A couple of subs checking into the game. Ted Bancroft just missed that three-pointer. Also into the game, Tom Planek, get out of Chicago. He's a former Fenwick Friar. Chukwu with the block. Casey Woodring also into the game. And Panic called for the offensive foul. Planek, I mentioned for you, he's a high school Friar, the Fenwick Friars in Chicago, a famed high school on the west side. And now he's a collegiate Friar. What's next? I don't know if there's a professional team named the Friars, so he may be out of luck. But if there is one, he's a lock. Good rebound by Bancroft. We may have seen our last shot of the day. So Providence going to go to 2-0 on the year. Next up, they've got Navy on Thursday. There'll be better days for Binghamton. This young team, you saw at times what they can be. They fall to 0-2 on the season. They'll open up their year at home against Hartwick on Wednesday. Two good friends hugging it out. 66-45 the final score. Now it's time for Fox Sports Live, which starts right now.